Good morning, guys. I'm Chris, and welcome back to this Sunday's episode of Rift Amps. Okay, Vibrasonic is all done. So I've managed to resolder that filter cap. I've given the thing a full service. I've fitted two new 12AX7s. I used the ECC81 that was in V2, put that in the phase inverter, fitted two 12AX7s, fitted his set of Bugera branded 6L6s, fired this thing up. It's now been running on the bench for about 4.5 hours, and it's great. It's absolutely fantastic. Giving it a full service, this thing sounds and plays fantastic. I've got the tremolo on at the moment, so that's why it's wobbling, but if I bring up the intensity, you can see it's pumping away quite nicely. Bob, 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 bob. So that's cool. Everything seems to work. There's no oscillations. I can't get this thing to do anything other than sound amazing. So, yeah, all good. All really, really happy with it. I just got to stick it back in the cab, give the cab a bit of a clean, and just check everything out, make sure there's no other issues, vibrations in the cabinet, that sort of thing. And then button this thing up and call it done. So that's a nice, easy fix and sort out. Customer was quite disappointed that those two valves had popped. He said they'd only gone in recently, so it must have been an issue on install. But as to why one of those 6L6 is red plated, I can't find an issue with the amp. The bias is nice and stable. All the voltage is correct. There's nothing weird going on. It must have been that valve failed rather than the amp causing an issue with it. So yeah, there we go. Quite happy. All done. No, all good. Nothing to worry about. And yeah, we can get this thing buttoned up back in the cabinet. Okay, mystery box Tom. I've just had this turn up with the courier. I wasn't expecting anything. It had the customer's name on it that I've now blanked out. I've just checked my emails. He didn't say he'd be sending anything to me. So this is completely unknown, and we do love a mystery box, don't we? So let's get this thing open, have a look inside. Hopefully, it's some good content. Hopefully, there's something in here which is really interesting. The box isn't too heavy, so I wonder what it could be. Transformer pot. No idea. Absolutely no idea. Oh, no. Ah, there's a note there. Okay. A Marshall Valve MIDI preamp JMP1. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. And what do we have in here? A transformer and a potentiometer. Okay. Okay. Diagonal transformers, mains transformer 0014, replacement mains transformer. So, does that mean this is dead? And is that what it's come in for? Let's read the note, shall we? Hi Chris, as discussed on the phone... I don't remember that. Please find enclosed my Marshall JMP1 preamp for repair. Two things need doing. Replacement front output level pot. That's what that one is. The existing one is seized. Output level. Oh yeah. Oh, that's stiff. Replacement transformer as the fitted one has blown. The new pot and transformer are included. I have left only 2 screws holding the lid on. One. Oh, and on the back there. 2. And have the remainder and the rack earbacks here. So, okay. Didn't see much point in refitting them or for you to take them off again. Best regards, Bob. Okay. Well, there you go. One moment, please. Well, I told a lie. I do remember. I do know. Customer contacted me via WhatsApp. Asked me to do this. Now, JMP ones, don't get them in regularly, but we used to do quite a few of them because they do seem to eat their power transformers quite regularly. But I haven't had one in for a while. So yeah, I do know what this amp is. I do know what it's here for. Do remember now. But it was a WhatsApp, not an email, which is why I couldn't find any info on it. Okay, so nice and simple then. Got to replace the transformer and that pot, which we can do no problem whatsoever. I'll show you what it looks like inside. Oh, come on, behave. There we go. And there it is. There's your transformer. So customer says this one's knackered, and we've also got to do this pot on the front here, which is, I can confirm, quite seized. Can we get this thing turning? Do you think, can we get this thing turning? Oh no, that does not want to move. Let's apply a bit more torque to it, just in case it needs freeing off. There you go. Well, that does feel awful though. That is not nice. Ugh. I don't know actually. We might get away with this. We might get away with this. Oh, that's freed up nicely. Well, that feels much better already. Might not need the pot. Might not need the pot. That's as loose as it'll ever be. As long as it's not noisy, we'll leave it in there. Cool, that was an easy one. I'll check with the customer whether he wants me to actually replace it now that it's freed up or not. It depends if it's noisy, I guess. Okay, so I've got to pull the board out. Can I get to it from the underside? No. So I'm going to have to pull the board to get to this transformer. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. However, let's just confirm customer complaint first, shall we? Let's apply some power and see what's going on. Right, we're on the test bench and I thought I'd just check the fuse. And you can see somebody's put some red tape over the fuse holder. You see it? There she is. Stop wobbling. I thought I'd just check the fuse to see it's got the right value in. Oh yeah! Woo! Don't worry, the amp isn't on. Oh, fantastic. That is brilliant. So what do we need? 230 volt, an 80 milliamp fuse. Had to dig through my stash for these. I've only got 100 milliamps, which should be fine. I've got a 50 milliamp slow blow and I've got 100 milliamp. I don't have 80. We're close enough. It'll still blow if there's a short, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, what do we need? We need amp in the on position. All good to go. Power supply connected. Bring you up this way so you can see the light bulb. Let's find out what's going on. So we're on restriction mode, mains power applied, 0 watts being drawn from the wall. 240 volts at the wall today and 0 amps being drawn. Okay, so the amp does not turn on. Let's do some very basic checks. Make sure we haven't done something silly. Let's check we've actually got 240 volts coming into the amp. Across the live and the neutral. There it is. We've got voltage going in. Have we got voltage going up to the fuse? Yes, other side of the fuse. What? That fuse popped already, is it? How has that fuse popped already? How has it done that? Amp is off. Yeah, that exploded and went in short order, didn't it? Perhaps I put a dodgy fuse in it. Should we check again? Fuse into place, amp is off. So new fuse, continuity across it. Okay, voltage mode, in restriction. $240 volts to that side. Amplifiers on AC. Well, mains voltage to that side. Mains voltage to that side. Maybe I'll just put a dodgy fuse in it. Right. Oh, look, we've got wattage consumption out the wall now. Well, the unit's on. Everything's changing along the front. Right. Full power. There you go, pulling 163 milliamps. So what's wrong with it then? Why does Bob think it needs a replacement transformer? Not wrong with this unit so far. I can see the valve heaters are lighting up. Gonna have to give him a call. Hold on. Right, spoke to the customer. He hasn't touched it for a couple of years, so he's a bit foggy on what's what, but he seemed to remember it was in a rack. It stopped working. We know that these are a common failure point on them. He doesn't know why this was wrapped around the thing, but that's possibly why it didn't turn on. Loose connection possibly, but I'm just measuring that transformer. It's getting really hot, 120 degrees Celsius, which is, I'll put on the screen now what that is in Fahrenheit because I ain't going to convert it, but yeah, that's getting really hot. Although it's still pulling a consistent 33 watts out the wall. But I suspect if we leave that much longer, that transformer is just going to go bang. So, yeah, Come on, get on it. There is a really hot spot on it somewhere. There you go, 126 there now. Oh! Oh, yeah, that's really hot. So, yeah, we've got a very hot transformer. What's causing that, though? That's a really good question. Is it something downstream that's just drawing too much current, or is it a faulty transformer itself? Well, from experience, we know that these generally are unreliable. It's a very common failure point on these units. So he's supplied with this one with it, but we don't know the condition of this one either, so I'll do some basic checks on it. But I suspect that if that keeps getting hot, or hotter, yeah, nearly 130 degrees now, aren't we? That it's gonna go bang. So I suspect that what happened in the past is, in the rat case, that just kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Pop the fuse. Somebody, in order to get through a gig, did the old dodgy fuse bodge. Amazing. And then flogged it onto somebody. So that's where we are. Okay. Right, board has been removed from the unit. I forgot to take the valves out though, so we'll do that now. Some nice Marshall branded ECC 83s. Oh, probably Russian made. Probably. Right, okay, so here's a transformer. That's the memory battery that when that dies, you lose all your settings. So somebody sells a mod that you can do to make them interchangeable because they're soldered in. So yeah, don't let that go. Anyway, so here's the transformer. Spin it round. Oh. There it is. So all we've got to do is desolder the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pins. Match up with the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, we're all good. Desolder those, swap the other one into position. Okay, so I now need to make a decision about this pot. It still feels a little bit sandy, a little bit gritty. So whilst I'm in here, I think we swap it out. Only problem is the one he's supplied is a short shaft. You see? Yeah, you can. So let's put it out. Let's pull it out. Give it a good old proper cleaning and inspection. There it is then. Yeah, it still feels quite bad. Let's get the service log, give it another clean. No, no good. Compared to the new one turns really smoothly, but this one feels like it's just full of grit and sand and stuff. Okay, let me see what I've got. No luck, I'm afraid. I don't have the correct pot, so let's just get this thing apart. Have a quick look inside. See if we can see what the issue is. Okay, so the track on the back of the pot doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad at all. I think it might be dirt in the shaft itself. Looking at the track, sorry, I don't think the issue is the track. I'll give it a clean anyway. But where this thing feels awful is, I think it's going to be inside the barrel. The shaft is riding inside, so how are we going to get that apart? How are we going to get that apart? I don't think we are, but can I just get into it from there? Before we rip it apart, let's come up with a contingency plan. Let's say we need that's about 1/4 inch, isn't it? Thread length. Yeah, so it's 1/4 inch thread length. And then what, about 1/2 inch from there, isn't it? Yeah. Total length about 19.5, 20 mil. So let me see what I can find on the internet before I take this apart any further. Okay, incredibly, Marshall, I've got them on the shelf, and I've got one on the way, so that should be here in a couple of days' time. I'm not going to bother trying to fix this thing. We'll just fit a new one, the correct one. It's only a couple of quid, so it's not the end of the world, is it? And that will be a good fix. So there you go. Cool. This is a Princeton Reverb. No, it really is. I'm not lying. Look, it says so. Princeton Reverb. You've seen this one before. It came in last July for some service work. And unfortunately, we've got a bit of an issue with it in that the on-off switch on the rear has become intermittent. So the amp's currently off. Now it's in the on position, and you see the amp has not turned on. If you wiggle the switch, you can get it to... I can't at the moment. That's halfway on, between on and off. It comes on, look. Look, we're in the on position and the amp is off. So we've got a dodgy switch. No problem, easy enough to swap a switch. I carry them on the shelf, the correct one with the plastic toggle. So we'll get this thing apart, we'll get that switch swapped out. back on the bench. Okay, main switch replaced, all up and running on the bench. I'm just been working through some just basic checks on it. We're measuring its output, and we've got, well, 10 volts there, which is nice and clean, puts us at 12.5 watts, which is, you know, perfect for these. So I was just thought, while we've got this on the bench, and I know they're not exact copies or versions of each other, but they're close enough that we can do some basic comparisons, and at least I'll be able to show you what the Headstrong is doing and what it's not doing compared to a vintage Fender, you know, and all the caveats that yes, this one is a silver plate and it's a later, and there's, you know, there are minor differences, but it's still within the same family. It's still close enough. We're not comparing a Marshall to a Fender. We're comparing a Princeton to a Princeton, right? Okay. So I just want to show you how this thing overdrives. Treble and bass on 5. You'll see as I start to drive it, the top squares off as normal, and the more you drive it, the bottom starts to square off as well, but it generally retains its shape. Okay. Now that's the amp on 10. Really square waving at that point, okay? But we can bring it back down. I can also show you, I hope. I'll put them on the screen, the harmonic content of the amp. So I'll do it at 10 volt output, which is there. And then I'll also do it at 12 volts output, which is there. Okay, and now I can show you the two harmonic profiles of the amplifier in those two stages. So you can see what the sine wave looks like, how it looks like when it's overdriving, and its harmonic content. Let's now switch to the Headstrong. Okay, Headstrong on the bench, up and running, fully warmed up now. That's your output sine wave. And we're now set at 10 volts. And this is how the amp overdrives. The top squares off. And as we keep going, does pretty much the same thing. Come back down to 12 volts. There it is. And back down to 10. So now I'll put on the screen what the harmonic content looks like at 10 volt output. And also what it looks like at 12 volts output. The other thing I want to show you on this Headstrong is this one's got a bias pot on the rear panel. And do you remember we had that really weird lump on one side but not on the other? Well, you clearly see that's gone now. But I've made some changes to the amp, just mainly lead dress to be honest. But if we just cool it off, you can see that hump starts to appear, but it is more prominent on the upward slope than it is the downward one. Just dial that out with a bias and it smooths off nicely. Find a nice point for it. So we set it to 10 volt output and bias it at that point. Crossover there. We'll just dial it out just about there. You don't want to over bias these because then your tremolo becomes too weak. But that there, I would say, is a very nice point for it. I think that's great. Maybe a smidge more. Fantastic. So good news on the Headstrong. As you know, compared to the previous videos, you can see that the sine wave is now looking drastically different, especially when it's overdriving. It's now much more reminiscent of a proper vintage Fender. So we've made good progress on this amp. We are coming along strong. Now, I've almost, at this point, almost fixed, well, I think I've got rid of this distortion on the tail end of bass notes, which has proven to be very tricky. I've almost got rid of that. Sometimes you can just about hear it, sometimes you can't, whereas before it was quite easy to get it to happen every time. So I'm making good progress on it. But yeah, that's a really nice output sine wave now. So yeah, really, really pleased. Good news, just had delivery of the head shell for Jerome's custom 1 watt build. So I've just gone ahead and drilled my chassis mounting points on there, and there's one at the top as well. Well, one on the other side, I should say. So that's now in, nice and secure. Very happy with it. You've got to make sure that you leave enough gap, enough clearance for your faceplate material. In this case, 1.6 millimeters. So that's now in. It's going to have this handle on it, this style handle. Just going to sit on top like that. Looks good. The only thing I can't decide on, so I'm going to get in touch with Jerome and ask him what he would like, is whether we go for just as it is, or whether we want to go for black protective corners or chrome protective corners, like that. What do you think? What do you think? I kind of like the stealth look personally, but that is such a classic look with the chrome, isn't it? And I think we'd do 6 of them, so we'd have 4 around the bottom, on the bottom edge corners, and then 2 at the top at the back. Or you could just have the 4 at the bottom. I wouldn't do all 8. Or would we? Would we do all 8? What do you think? What does that look like? That looks all right, doesn't it, actually? Maybe we do 8. I'll ask him. Give him the choice. But let me know down below what you would do. But yeah, this is coming on nicely. I'm tempted to do more of these. I had a great time building it. It's really fun. It's a nice simple circuit. Single input, single volume control. On off with your dual light. And on the rear, you've got a single 8 ohm out. And you've got a line out as well, so which defeats that. So you can then plug directly into your door or something. Really, really cool. Yeah, little 1 watt. The only thing I would do next time is probably not use a single EL84. Can you see that? It's in there. Probably not use a single EL84 as the output stage. I'd probably do 6v6s, to be honest. Just because I prefer building with them. But yeah, you could do all sorts with these. Really cool. It's a nice size cabinet. Really nice size cabinet. It measures 12 and 3/4 across, about 6.5 deep, and including the feet, about 9 3/8 tall. So it's a nice small cabinet. Unfortunately, with these small cabs, the dimensions always look slightly strange because they are quite tall. And the reason they have to be tall, looks all right from that angle actually, is that you need to make sure you've got the clearance to change valves without having to remove the chassis. So you've got to have the height clearance in there. And with EL84s, easy enough. So we've left enough clearance in there. But there you go, yeah, Jerome's head coming on nicely. Need to do the handle. Faceplate should be with me early next week, hopefully, fingers crossed. And then he can have his little 1 watt custom amp. Right, back on with the JMP1. The pot has arrived from Marshall. There you go. And I can confirm it is now the correct length. So good news. We'll get that installed, we'll get it into there, and then we can get this thing reassembled back into its case, back on the test bench and tested. But whilst we're here, weather update time. Quite a nice day out there, look. It's cold, but the sun's come out, bit of blue sky. Quite a nice thing to look at while you're working at your bench. Look, there you go. Very cool. Well, I'm going to crack on with this. Meet you on the other side. Right, well, good news. It's fixed. It's all sorted. Current consumption from the wall now hovers around 13 watts. Maximum is about 20 that this thing is rated for. So we knew before when it was pulling 33 watts, there was an issue. Power transformer now, about 26 degrees Celsius. Sorry, you can't see that, can you? So about 100 degrees Celsius cooler than the other one was. Warm me up a little bit, but it's just doing its thing. Absolutely fine. So I'm just going to leave this running soak testing for a while, reassemble it back in the cabinet, and then it can be back in the mystery box and off to the customer. Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching once again. We've had the thumbs up and the go ahead for the recap on the high watt. Once all those bits are done, then we can see if we can diagnose what issues we've got further. Very interesting. So, as always, please give this video a thumbs up, or your comments and questions down below for next week's Q&A. Subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't already. If you're feeling super generous, join the channel like these guys have, and I will catch you all at the next one.